are live on the Woman Agenda podcast. This is Raj, your host, and we have a very special guest, Jennifer Alvarado, very talented country music singer. How are you doing, Jennifer?
Great. I hope you are as well.
Fantastic. Not too bad, thank you. So we were obviously wanting to bring you on board on the podcast. You've been you've sent you some stuff. You've got official website, jenniferalvarado.com, which tells us about your music. So just tell us about how did you start your music? The people who may not know much, the ones who don't know much about you. How
Yeah.
did you get into country music?
So I've been into music pretty much all my life. I think most people can probably say that if they're musicians. But yeah, I started really young with writing. I started writing when I was about 4 or 5, and just making up little songs, and then got very involved with church music and school that had different ensembles and that. Um, really did not start pursuing my music until probably about 2015. I started as a Christian artist, and then during the pandemic, I started releasing my country stuff. So I've always loved country music. I grew up listening to country music, wanted to be in country music, but um, it took me a little while to kind of gain the confidence to, I guess, get out of my bubble and really pursue my music. So yeah, started releasing stuff back in 2020, as far as the country pop stuff goes, and only really been doing this full time for the past, well, since the summer of 2021. So about two
Wow.
years, and just going full fledged into all of it, and really working on songwriting and just trying to, I guess, make my way, and have no idea what I'm doing some days, but I think that's true of all of us. So
Absolutely, definitely, yeah. Absolutely. Depends what the day brings. I've noticed you've already amazed 1 million downloads on, is it Spotify? You've amazed 1 million downloads. Very, very impressive
thank you.
amount. Is this regarding the total collection? Is it regarding a specific single which was released?
It's total. It's total. So it's with my duet with the White House. They're a Canadian band.
Right.
It's also with my projects that were already that have been on there and are working to be on there. All of that. So yeah, it's my total collection.
Yeah, and if we can just start off with the White House, how did you get to work with the White House, and how did that happen?
Yeah, so we both were artists on a station called Indie Star Radio.
Right.
And that's actually the very first place that I sent my music to. I sort of, at the beginning or end of 2020, beginning of 2021, I was sort of like, you know what, I'm gonna make this one last kind of push for my music, and get out of my comfort zone with it and send some stuff out. And Indie Star was, it happened to be the radio station that I picked to kind of say, okay, if they hate it, like, I'm done. Like, I'm just going to put my music on the back burner and go find a normal 9 to 5, and that's it. And it took off, and they were great. And because of being on there, the White House was also on there, and Chris from the White House contacted me and said that he really wanted to do a duet and a collab, and could we get together and write something. So yeah, that's sort of how it all came about.
Wow, that must
Yeah.
have been really good. That must have been really great doing able to do that at early stage of your music career.
Yeah,
And
definitely. I think anytime you get to work with someone sort of outside your genre, it teaches you a lot. And I think also it teaches you just how to collab with people. I had, I have done co-writing in the past and all of that, but that song was honestly probably one of the quickest, easiest co-writes because I mean he's essentially sent me what he had and said, okay, write some verses, and I mean it was a very easy write. It was a very true to life write, and so it worked. It everything about it worked.
Yeah, definitely. And were you always in were you always into Christianity? Is that something you've always you were since you grew up, or
Yeah, I mean, I think especially growing up in the South.
no?
So I mean that's a huge part. Faith is a huge part. And
Right.
I went to church with my grandparents, and um, so I've always that's just always been part of my life. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that it only made sense that I sort of started out in church and as I grew up, I became a worship leader, and then I'm a worship pastor still, actually. So that's my
Right.
Sunday. Well, I mean, I guess that's my other job, but yeah, I'm a worship pastor, and like tonight I have choir practice, and I direct a choir. So like
Wow.
that's the other side of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nice that you do get you do make time to do that. What that part of it, and you make yourself available for that. I'm loving the guitars. Is it the guitars at the background?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a problem. I like guitars. I have a lot of guitars.
I was noticing like the electric guitar one side, and then you have the acoustic one,
Yeah.
and then you have another one. Wow, it's
Yeah,
like a
there's more. There's more in the closet. There's more over here in the corner. Yeah, that I have a problem.
wow,
Yeah, the electric actually was I think it was my 17th birthday. That was a gift from my
yeah,
grandfather. So yeah, and then this one over here, the acoustic was actually my very first guitar. So I just always keep it right there, just to kind of remind me of where I started. Um, so yeah, they've got increasingly more expensive and nicer over the years. Um, but yeah, I have a problem.
So, so like you were saying, so you started off in what in 2015, then you came back to country music,
Hmm.
then you released some music which it says as per your website as well, which was "I Break Things," which you released 2020.
Yeah,
Um,
so that was my first, I guess, country single. Yes,
country
I
song.
break things. Yeah, that song kind of started it all. That was the first one I sent out to radio and all of that. So yeah, that's a special song to me.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And when you were releasing that, is it something which are you one who just does it all themselves? You write the music and then you release it. You do everything yourself. Are you like a
Yes. Yeah.
yes?
So I do have a producer. So my producer, he's about 30 minutes away. He's the same producer I've had for everything. And and one thing about that is, well, I did have other producers in the past, but Ricky, I've known him for 8 years, 8 or 9 years, and we've been working together ever since then. And he knows sort of my vision for what I want to do, and we see eye to eye on a lot of things. So that is one thing I would definitely, if you're an artist starting out, find you somebody who gets your vision and who listens to you. And you know definitely he gives me some pointers here and there, but he's never made me feel inadequate. He's never made me feel like I don't know what I'm talking about or whatever. Like he's just a great dude. And so I would suggest that for anybody, any artist, is to find you people that help make you better. They aren't afraid to tell you the truth, and they aren't afraid to say, like, you know, maybe that's not the best idea, but they don't make you feel stupid in the process either. Um, so yeah, I've been working for him or working with him for about 8
Hmm.
years. And then as
Yeah.
far as like the marketing and the push and all that, yes, that is all me. Um, I did have management a while back to help me with some booking, and I realized that I was doing 98% of my bookings. And so I was sort of like, you know what? I just need to go back to being me. So um, right now, the team is right here. So eventually, maybe we will expand, but I'm okay.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you're comfortable, you're happy doing it, then definitely, yeah, that's something. And what's the and obviously, and there's a lot of I can obviously country music who are breaking into country music. You've been doing it since what 2015, like you said, and then
Mhm.
you came back into it. Who was the person or the female singer who maybe inspired you to get into country music? It was anyone particular?
I think my biggest inspiration has always been Reba, Reba
Reba.
McEntire. I can
Yeah.
remember being, I mean, she was the very first concert I ever went to. Um,
Wow.
and I think I learned sort of just how important the business side of everything is too. Like, yes, the music is definitely the passion and the where everything starts, but you've also got to be smart business wise. You have to know how to brand yourself, how to market yourself, how to be able to kind of go into other avenues, and really how to have that grit and that determination to make it work, because so much of this is just uh, persevering through, like, you're going to hear no a lot. You're going to have doors slammed in your face, and you have to believe in what you're doing enough to keep going. And even on those hard days, you keep going, because you will get to good days and those mountaintop moments, but you're going to have a lot of valleys, and you're going to have a lot of just days where you question what you're doing. So you've got to have that determination and that grit to go. And so I think more than anything, that's what I learned by watching her and watching her career.
Mhm. Definitely. I mean, you can see what she's done. If you type her name and there's so much stuff comes up, it's like it's proper. You can tell, what she's achieved. Definitely, yeah. Reba's
Yeah.
definitely a massive inspiration. Definitely for sure. And country music is I don't know. And whereabouts are you based then now?
So I'm in North Carolina, but I do go back and forth to Nashville pretty much every other week at this point. So I go back to Nashville tomorrow. I've got a couple rounds up there. And so what I typically do is I go in the morning, I'll play, and then I come back. And so it's a 6 hour drive roughly. So it's a long day in the car, but it's worth it. And then usually at least once or twice a month, I'm up there for like a period of 4 or 5 days where I just kind of jam pack it with as much as I can. Because I'm also like, I just got back from Virginia, which is roughly 4 hours away.
Right.
And so I'm playing other places beyond Nashville and Tennessee. And so I'm sort of always on the road at this point. But again, it's worth it. It's part of what you have to do to make things work, and to figure out your people and who, really is going to support your music and be there for you.
Yeah, music, being a singer is not like a 9 to 5 job, is it really? Where you finish at 5 o'clock and you go, okay, that's
No.
it for the day. It's
Yeah.
like it's never. It's one of those jobs, isn't it? Which is it's a job, but it's more than a job. And then it obviously you have to be prepared to, I guess, work those long hours
Oh
to
yeah.
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 Def-
And you're going to have to be prepared just that because again, especially when you're doing the marketing, everything yourself, like
mm,
it's not just you go play this show and then you go home and sit there. Like you come home and you work on interview questions, you work on press, you work on sending out emails to different places to see if they'll pick your song up or not. You and then in the midst of all that, you have to figure out time to write and how to get to the studio and get the stuff recorded. And honestly, trying to balance that part has been the hardest. With just, especially getting home at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. or whatever, some nights, you don't feel like getting up and going to the studio, or you don't vocally, like your voice is just not there to record that song yet. And so that's one thing that I've had to figure out time wise, like how to kind of juggle all of it. But it's worth it. In the end, it's worth it, and it's a great lesson to learn. And I think the other thing you've got to be semi or get used to is just being on the road by yourself a lot. Like if you, especially if
mm,
you don't have that team, like actually a team around you or the band around you or whatever, like
yeah.
you're gonna have that time by yourself. And I'm married, and so that's hard to be away from home as much as I am, but we make it work, and we both know that we love each other and we're there for each other. And so you just learn how to balance things to make it work.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, it is, isn't it? It's about the balance, and as long as the other person, other half, and they understand, then obviously that makes it easier for you.
It
Uh,
does. Yeah, and my husband's incredibly supportive. Like he knows this. I mean, from the time we started dating, he knew music was so important to me, and he's the one that encouraged me to get back into it, because I had kind of put it on the back burner and thought this is a pipe dream. This is not realistic, or responsible, because I was all about responsibility. And he was like, no, you're going to regret this. Like, if you don't try, if you don't put yourself out there and at least do something with it, you're going to regret this. And so he has been my support since day one. And I will say that that's so important with this, is
yeah.
to have a spouse or have a partner that just supports you and is there for you, because
Mm,
you're gonna have those days where you get knocked down by the world. And so to have just that person that is supporting you and loves you and is there for you, that's the biggest thing. So
yeah. Yeah, absolutely, definitely, definitely. It does, like you said, it absolutely does help. And I've seen some of the stuff you won lots of awards recently from 2021. So many for your singles, your music singles. That must have been a great feeling to get recognized and appreciated so much.
it's definitely a great feeling. I'm very humbled and honored, to have that support and to have that recognition. Um, and I think more than anything, it kind of tells me, like, it's more confirmation. Like, okay, maybe I'm headed in the right direction. Like maybe this is where I need to be. And so I think that more than anything is just that confirmation of I'm on the right path and to keep going. Like it's really just that helpful push to say, like, keep going, because there is a you do get to a place where sometimes you have that hesitation of like, okay, well, what if the next song doesn't do as well, or what if the next project doesn't do as well. um and so you are constantly trying to grow and be better at what you're doing. And so there is I guess, a responsibility and a pressure sometimes that comes with that. Um, but it's nothing that I can't handle. And so I like that pressure. I like wanting to always improve myself and improve what I'm doing.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And so, so you released an EP where you had two parts, part one,
Mhm.
part two. Was part two releasing this year, July? Was it
Yes, it's actually releasing July 24th. So it's
24?
it's releasing in roughly 2 weeks. Um,
Wow.
yeah, part one released last year on my birthday, and then this year part two is releasing on my birthday as well. This project has been so personal to me that it just made sense to kind of couple it with my birthday, and say, here, like, here it is, world. Take it as it is. Um, but yeah, it was definitely a project of love and of learning to keep it simple. And it was a lot different than my other previous projects. I tried to be really, really honest with this, even if maybe the subject matter, if I've tweaked it a little bit to be more relational. But overall, like, it's a very
Yeah.
honest um, place of where I was when I was writing these songs and what I was feeling and what I was going through at that point.
Yeah, definitely. And do check out her website, official website, which we will display just now, coming up. There we are, jenniferalvarado.com. And do check it out. Very interesting, very detailed. I've checked it out myself. It tells you everything about Jennifer's journey into country music, and what she's done so far, and what the plans are. And obviously, do check out her new music, which is coming out very soon. The second part of EP, which I'm sure is going to do well. Obviously, uh, so regarding that, so how much how many singles you must have released? A lot of singles then, until up to now.
Yeah. I have no idea. I know that's probably bad. I know I
Right,
released 4 or 5 in 2020, and then I
right.
think I probably released 3 or 4 in 2021, including that other EP, Playing with Fire EP, and then usually I've released 3 to 4 singles a year, somewhere around there. Um, so this year I kind of got a late start. I wanted to hold off until I had the EP done. But my plan is, once this EP is out, well, I'm already in the studio working on a Christmas album that hopefully will be out in November. And I'm getting ready to go back in and start working on another album. So the next album is actually going to be more geared toward that '90s country sound, that really was just a huge influence to me, of that singer songwriter style. Dina Carter, those type artists that both wrote and sang their songs. So that project is going to be a little bit more stripped down than this one, as far as just instrumentation and samples and sounds and all that kind of stuff. And I'm looking forward to that, to being able to just kind of go back and create kind of an album that would have been something I would have listened to back in the late '90s, early 2000s country.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, we've noticed, obviously, it does mention that your music is a mixture of pop, country music. So how's it? How did you decide that it'll be like a different type of a mixture of country music and some pop? Is there anything which you saw and you thought, okay, I can do a bit of pop as well, and I can do a bit of a mixture?
So I think because both of those so heavily influence my music,
Right.
it comes naturally. the way I obviously the way I speak and the way I sing, I have a twang. I'm not getting rid of that anytime soon. So it's that I think that more than anything makes it country. Um, but yeah, I like some of those pop elements, especially growing up I was really into grunge. I was really into um like I said 90s country, but grunge had an influence on me. So bands like Nirvana and you know just even Soundgarden, like I remember just listening to those songs as a kid and thinking like I love that. And I think that that's part of being a musician is you have all these influences that come into your music. So I never try to box my music into this little corner and say it's got to sound like this to be country or it's got to
Mm,
sound like this to be pop. Like my latest single, Trigger Warning, it is definitely pop in nature, but I am playing mandolin on the second verse of it. I added mandolin to the second verse. And I like bending those rules a little bit because I don't feel like music has to stay in this tiny little set of rules. And I don't think it should because I think every single person they have a different style. They have a way of writing, a way of singing. And so I think that your style should sort of reflect you and reflect your influences and reflect what the song is trying to present instead of saying it needs to sound exactly like this to be country. And
mm,
so when we go into the studio to create something, I try things. I'm not afraid to just try different elements and different sounds and different instruments. Um, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, and it doesn't help tell the story, then it's not going to be on it. But I want to leave that door open to allow different things to come to tell the story of the song and to be part of it.
yeah, definitely. And obviously, if you create something which is a bit unique and not just one specific, and you're like, okay, I don't have a boundary where I can't go, I need to do it exactly this way. That creates you a bit different than maybe another so many other artists. You created your own kind of a different kind of a thing, which a lot of people like, different types of music. Um, I've always listened to different genres of music. A lot of people prefer that as well. And like you said, you preferred it as well, to listen to different genres yourself, pop, country music, these kind of stuff. So yeah, definitely that does help. And obviously, this is Jennifer's official Instagram as well, Jennifer Alvarado Music. Do check it out, and if you have any comments, regarding Jennifer's music, do give her feedback, and any questions, do check it. Do obviously send it to her. Absolutely. So yeah, definitely. So you must be like you said. There's some information about Trigger Warning. Is that a new single? Trigger
It
Warning.
is. Yeah, it came out Friday actually. Yep, this
Is
past Friday.
the last Friday? Okay, so that's the seventh. The
Yeah.
seventh, yeah.
Yes.
Right, right. Okay. So do check it out, guys. If you haven't checked it out, and if you're watching this afterwards, Trigger Warning has released last Friday. Available all online, iTunes, Amazon Music, everywhere, all the good places. It is available. And yeah, absolutely. I mean, uh, with one station saying that you're the country music artist of the year, and you can imagine how many country music artists there are in country music. And now I don't know if you've heard that in the UK we're getting a bit of a craze of country music in the UK as well now.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's a demand for country music from the UK now, where You see some artists wanting to do country music. There's lots of new fans who are listening
Yeah.
to country music as well.
Yeah.
So is there any plans in the works to come to do anything in the UK?
I would love to at some point. Yes, I would love that. And yeah, I think definitely. I think at some point, that will definitely be a thing. It's more of just I'm
Yeah.
trying to grow my audience as best I can, and so I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. As far as and I think too, like I don't want to. Honestly, I don't want to come over and nobody shows up. So I think I need to, grow that a little bit and make sure that, there's
grow the
somewhere
U-
like people
Grow
actually
the
want
UK
me.
fan base. Yeah, grow the
Yes,
UK fan base with
exactly.
your music. Absolutely. But I would doubt if you came and if the stadium would be empty. I would doubt that very much, to be honest.
Well,
Uh, Considering the stuff you've already achieved in such a it, well, since you've come back to country music,
yeah,
it's amazing. I mean, people would be okay, okay, I've got one award, and they'd be like, "Wow!" But you got a long list of achievements already in country music and the stuff
yeah.
you've done. So yeah, definitely, I'm sure that will definitely be in the pipeline. So are you like doing anything in the US, promoting your music at the moment and your new music and
I am, yeah. So, um, yeah, definitely trying to promote the trigger warning, and then I'm giving that a couple more days, and I'll start actually putting out stuff about the EP. I haven't really promoted that much with this project. I'll be honest. I think I promoted so heavily last year with everything that, and my focus started being on just touring and getting those tour dates out and going here, there, and everywhere. And honestly, like I said before, when it's just you working on all of it, it's like your attention either goes here or here or here. And so that is something that I haven't pushed tremendously. I have been trying more so to just do like the grassroots effort of going and playing this show and going and playing this show and shaking hands and meeting people. And um, yeah, so definitely I need to do more from the promotion side probably. But I also wanted to concentrate on touring and really showing up for people, because I think ultimately I don't want to just be like a face on a screen. I want people to know that they can approach me, that they can talk to me, that I'm human, and that I want to meet them and actually have a friendship and not just a discussion across the screen or something, like, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to be just like a face. I want to actually have relationships with people and know my fan base.
yeah, absolutely. And let's just put it on here. So Songbird Part Two available 24th. This is obviously we in the UK we put 24th of July ahead. Obviously in the US they put it the other way around. So
Yeah.
yeah, so anybody in the UK it's the other way around. It's 24th of July. It's releasing. You can get it. Can they purchase your single on your website as well?
They can pre-order part 2 right now.
Available now. Okay,
Yeah,
fantastic.
so I will say I need to go on there and probably just put the single for trigger warning on there by itself, and you can do that. But you can pre-save part 2 as well. I believe that that's available. It'll be available digitally, and then I've just ordered, because I'm slow at getting actual merch. So the CDs, I just got them ordered, and so Songbird will be a complete project for the physical copy of the CD. So it's both parts on that one. And so those should be in the next like 2 weeks. And so those will also be available on the website for purchase.
Yeah, absolutely. And do check it out. 24th. You can obviously pre-order now. Get onto the website which we have displayed, which is on here, jenniferalvarado.com, and you can check it out, and obviously you can check out Jennifer's links, which on there. But is it do you think the more bigger an artist becomes, it's harder to interact on one-on-one with a fan? Is it harder then to get the messages, get the because you become such a big massive superstar?
Um, I think so. I
Yeah,
think well, I think your time gets pulled so many different
yeah,
directions and you have so many people wanting a piece of you at that point that yeah, it's difficult to make that time, that one-on-one time. Um so yeah, I definitely think that it gets harder depending on how visible you really are. But I don't think it's impossible. I think that you have to figure out other methods of because the other thing too is we live in a world that is weird at times and you have to be protective of yourself and your family and stuff like that. So um I think that you have to be smart and you have to know how to engage with people without completely letting go of all boundaries too. Um, like
mm,
you've got to be smart. But I do think that there's ways of connecting with people and helping to let people know that they're important and especially when they're supporting you and um, just because I remember growing up and absolutely loving artists and loving what they were saying because I felt a connection to what they were saying and I felt like they understood me and understood what I was going through in my life. And I think that that's the power of music and the power of words in general is that you can you can make that connection with somebody else and you don't have to know their full story but they may take a piece of your song and it really connects with them and helps them through something and so I think that that's a powerful thing and so I always want people to know that that means something and people to know that I'm grateful for them listening and grateful for just support because
yeah.
they're helping me live out a dream and hopefully me living out that dream somehow helps them in return.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Yeah, definitely. Because when I've seen like some profiles where you see like Taylor Swift, and she probably gets inboxed with probably about maybe thousands and millions of
Oh
messages,
yeah, I'm
messages and
sure.
stuff. Yeah, definitely. It would definitely be physically impossible to reply to
Yeah,
every single person when I guess you get to that stage. But when she's probably started, she probably was interacting with everyone at a one-on-one.
yeah,
Uh,
I'm sure. Well, maybe not everyone, but still, I mean, a good
most, yeah,
majority. Yeah.
a few,
And
yeah,
I think that that's even important. Like, you know, I try to after shows, I try to always contact the venue or the person that booked me and just say, you know, thank you for the opportunity of letting me perform. Because it's allowing you to live out your dream, and so I think it's important. I think it's important to make sure people know you're grateful for their
mm,
time, for their effort, for whatever it is.
yeah, absolutely, definitely, and like we were saying, do check Jennifer's website out. You find all the links. Everything will be on there, and you'll be able to pre-order. Like we were saying, Songbird Part Two available 24th of July, and I'm sure it's gonna do really well, like her previous
Mhm.
singles albums have done really well. So what is the thing? Is it like any? What kind of ideas do you think it makes? Okay, I've got these ideas in my head. Let
Mhm.
me just write down, and this could become a good single, or is it something based on your own life which makes it into a single?
Hmm. For me,
Mm,
writing has always been about processing something that's going on in my life. So it
right.
usually it's about a certain situation. It can be about just honestly, I've written about people. Usually, if somebody ticks me off, I'll write about them because that's my way of processing it. So if you make me angry, I'll probably write a song about you, and it probably won't be very nice. Um, but yeah, I mean, I find inspiration from so many different things. Sometimes it can be a quote, sometimes it can be something that somebody said. Um, but a lot of times it's what I'm going through at that point in time, and it's me processing. And I think that that's what songwriting has always been for me is that therapy. Before I even knew what that meant, um, I was writing songs to just sort of get my feelings out. I was the shy kid. I was, I grew up an only child, so I processed a lot of things on my own, and songwriting was how I did that. Um, Also, I had some bullying back in middle school, and so I would go home and I would write my feelings out and stuff like that. So for me, it's always been about what I'm going through, and it's always been a very personal thing. And so for so long, like I kept my songs hidden because it was sort of like my private journal. Um, of what was going on in my head. And, and so then I started sharing once I got a little older. But yeah, so I think it depends on the song. It depends on what's happening, but usually it's a situation that I'm processing.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. And so do check it out. JenniferAlvarado.com and is official website, and it has all her latest music which is coming out. Like we were saying, Songbird Part 2 available. You can pre-order now, and obviously you can get your copy. And she's also available via Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. I know, obviously, Twitter. So do obviously interact with her, absolutely, and I'm sure it's going to be massive success.
Thank you.
So yeah, absolutely, and obviously we're wishing lots of success for you on your upcoming album Part 2,
Thank
and obviously your future projects. I'm sure they will be a massive success, and we are definitely going to make sure we do bring you back on
you.
as
Okay.
well. Absolutely, Jennifer, and it's great to interact with you. And when we chatted, um, it's great to have you on board on there. And just to quickly mention, guys, that yes, Deborah Allen is coming up next at 7 o'clock UK time. Um, Country music singer, she's coming up at 7 o'clock. So do wait for that. Thank you, Jennifer, and wishing you the best. And I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week. Thank you very
Thank
much.
Thank you.